Okay, I'm going to wait just a few more seconds to see if anybody else hops on, and then we will get started. Some people said they may join a little late. There's Jeffrey. Okay, so our 3 minutes past time, so I'm going to go ahead and there's Jeffrey and Laura. Laura, you can show us your video, but you definitely don't have to. Usually when I'm talking, I ask, or when anyone's talking, it's good for everyone else to be muted just so there's not feedback. Y'all both are right now. But if you want to talk, for sure, unmute yourself and ask questions. There's also a chat bar as well. So you can ask questions in the chat if you want to. But it's good to see you. But I'm going to share my screen and then we will get started. All right, move this over here. Okay, so we'll be talking tonight about just some of the pointers that our Tina Marie shared in the National Wake Up Call from Monday. And she was on the call probably, I feel like it was a year, maybe 15 months ago. As a new coach, she had only been a coach like not even a year at that time. And she shared some of the same things today, which I thought was interesting because this business really is pretty simple. The things that we hear from top coaches constantly is just to do the vitals, to do the same things over and over, and to really be consistent in that. But she did have some really great tips, and I want to make sure we talk about those tonight. But just kind of, let's go ahead and jump into some announcements, calendar stuff. Some of you have asked like what I'm inviting to, and I plan to start a 4-week round every 4 weeks. It just kind of gives something for people who want a start date. Our group is ongoing, and so people can jump in at any time whenever they're ready. We want it to be that way. We want the culture of the group to operate that way. But sometimes people just like a start date. And these are the start dates that I've laid out for the next several months, just that I'm inviting to. I'm telling people, I'm inviting people to start a new round of Lift 4 on August 13th. And so a lot of people who aren't ready this summer to start will be back in the habit of kind of getting into a routine August 13th. Maybe for those who have kids that are school age, they won't be ready until like September 10th, especially like moms of littles. Like beginning of September is normally when like Mother's Day Out starts back and all of that stuff. So there's always something to be inviting to. You always need to have something to invite to. So you can use these start dates if you want. And kind of the verbiage I use in my invites is just, hey, I'm gearing up for a new round in our challenge group that will start August 13th. A lot of people are kicking off with Lift 4 on that date. Would you like to chat about whether or not that would be a good fit for you? Or is the timing better for you now? So I'll check back in with the same people every month. Because sometimes the timing is better, even though they've told me no for months or years previously. Just being consistent with that follow-up and always having something you're inviting to. Of course, this week I've been inviting a lot to our coaching sneak peek this weekend. I was just playing around with it before this call to make sure that it works correctly this time. I'm going to do a trial run to our team page probably sometime tomorrow to, again, just make sure it works, because 2 months ago when I tried it, it did not work. So I don't want that to happen again, but basically it will be a live video through YouTube, and the link will be there for everyone to join at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. So the way the presentation is set up is so that they can, so that I can share my screen and they can really get a very comprehensive understanding of what coaching is. But as you're inviting people, I would encourage you to be familiar with the videos that are already in the group. And if you do not have a video in the group, or maybe one that's not updated and you want to go live in the Coaching Sneak Peek group and share a little bit of your story so that people you invite have a piece of you to kind of connect to, totally feel free to do that. You can always go live in there at any time. Utilize it as much as however you think is helpful for your people. And so just an example of that, we put a poll up a couple days ago in our challenge group for just hesitations or concerns people have when considering the coaching opportunity. And so I went through and found my challengers that responded to that. And then because I'm familiar with the videos that are in the Coaching Sneak Peek, I was able to reach out to a certain person and say, I totally understand your hesitation of not wanting to annoy your friends and not wanting to be a salesperson. I don't want you to be annoying to your friends. Like, that's not something we teach or train, on our team. And I really think you would connect well with Lindsay's story. So if you'd like, I would love to add you to the group, and I'll tag you underneath her video so that you can check her out, because I know Lindsay specifically talks about not wanting to sell to her friends. So that's just kind of a way that you can get them connected. And maybe they don't have time to watch all the different videos, but if you know that their concerns are addressed in one of the videos, you can kind of point them in that direction. And if there's something that's not addressed, you can do a live video and address it for sure. So that's the plan with that. Summit 2019, Indianapolis. We still have a few spots left in the rooms that I have reserved. It's going to be very affordable because the more of us that commit, the more the less the cost of the room is, because we're all sharing a room. And the sooner you get in, the sooner you can pick if you're going to be in a room with me and a 6-month-old, or if you get a separate room that does not likely have a crying child. So if you want to commit to that, definitely do it, and you can choose whether or not you want to feel like you have your children there.
That's July. It's July 10th through 14, right? Or 10 through
11th through the 14th, maybe.
Okay.
It starts on a Thursday night and it ends on a Saturday night. I will be going in on Wednesday this year, and I will be leaving Saturday morning because of just some ministry stuff we have going on. We have a base camp that weekend. So I won't be staying the full weekend as normal, but I have the hotel rooms for Wednesday night through Saturday night. So most people will come in Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll fly out Sunday at some point. So
we may have camp that week, so that's why I don't know what we're doing yet.
Yeah, it's always a toss-up in the summer for sure. And they move it around every summer. Like, it hasn't been the same weekend every summer since I've been a coach. So the earlier you grab a ticket for that, the cheaper it is for sure. And if you get the regular ticket currently, you can transfer it to another coach through December 31st, I believe. So I always recommend that you go ahead and grab a ticket, knowing that you can get refunded the majority of it or sell it to another coach for the next, several months. And so that's a good way to get a ticket at the best cost. Okay, so a little recognition. There's some new names on here that have not been on here before. Laura being one of them. Super exciting. The month is not over. Of course, we talk about this every week, but these points beside our names represent people, and we never want to lose sight of that. And I love that we're focusing on how this is an expression of our gratitude for what we've experienced and like what the Lord has taught us through developing these disciplines. And so we're wanting to be generous to share that with others. And I think when we really adopt that mindset, it becomes fun and enjoyable. And so super exciting, all the names that are on here. I think Jordan's name is on here for the first time. I just heard from one of my coaches, Allison, earlier this afternoon. I didn't have time to put her name on here, but she had someone join today for the first time. It's her first customer. So that's all super, super exciting stuff. I know that Annie and Lindsay both have beat their best for this month. So that's exciting. And the month is not over yet. So we've still got a ways to go and have another week that we can continue inviting and, passing it on, paying it forward, however you want to say that, to others. So I would encourage everyone to continue. And I just want to recognize, I know she is asleep right now, but Miss Lindsay Rigney has 3 of her coaches who are represented on here. Of course, Chad, her husband, which is probably her, and then Laura, and then Jordan. And I mentioned this to her this morning, just in a individual text, but this shows leadership. Like she is becoming a leader whenever you're able to help other coaches do what you're doing. And so she's just doing really, really awesome, and super, super proud of her. So wanted to recognize her for that. So let's jump into some of the meat of the National Wake Up Call. And I've got some notes here. I don't know if you listened to it yet or not, but she kind of just takes off and goes. And we got to hear her at Summit on stage this summer, and she's just really, really fun to listen to, very passionate about just finding your own voice and really being confident in that. And if you don't know, she is, if you've never seen her, she's African American. And so she's very passionate about the fact, she even shared this on stage at Summit. She was like, there are not enough African Americans here. Like, we are not represented here well. And so she just has a passion for reaching her people, basically, and her culture, and just kind of addressing what she said is an issue and among African American people. And so she really shares very passionately about how she was inspired by a bunch of top coaches that look nothing like her, that sound nothing like her. And so for her to try and emulate who inspired her, it would just be silly, and she wouldn't be reaching her people. And so she really had to find her own voice and be okay with the fact that she would not be sounding like or looking like the people who had inspired her. And I think that's a really good lesson for us to understand, because no matter who our upline coach is, who influences us, who inspires us, we still have our own voice, and we still have to figure that out and be okay with reaching who the Lord has for us to reach, and not try to just emulate someone else. And so that's something that I feel like I wasted probably a year before I started really working my business of just watching other coaches. Like, I wasn't going to do it. I never thought I would actually coach, but I stalked all these other coaches and really just wasted a lot of time when I could have been helping people myself and helping the people that the Lord had for me to help. And so I'm very selective. I'm very careful on who I follow on Instagram as far as other coaches go, and how often I look at their stories or their posts, because I don't want it to too heavily influence me to the point that I'm not being genuine and authentic. And so I would just encourage you as well, maybe find 1 or 2 top coaches that you follow, and maybe look at their stuff once or twice a week, but don't necessarily make it a daily thing, because then you'll feel like, oh, I need to do everything I'm seeing her do. And that's not the case. You want to be creative and be yourself. And sometimes the separation is good and healthy for that. So she talked through, kind of along those lines. She had to figure out, like, who do I want to attract? And just kind of the example she gave was she wanted to attract people who knew nothing about this business, single moms, divorced moms who felt helpless, because that's kind of where she was when she got started. She wanted people who would look at this and be like, Beachbody, not everybody has a Beachbody, and I'm not drinking any of those stupid shakes. Like, I want to eat real food, because that's how she responded when she first heard about it. Those were the people she wanted to go after, so that she could communicate, no, here's really what this opportunity is, and here's really what this can mean and what it can be. It doesn't have to be all these things that you see elsewhere. And so my husband's calling, it totally threw me off. But she then went into, okay, so once you identify like who you are wanting to attract, which a lot of times it's someone like you, it's maybe someone who was where you were before you got started. So not necessarily somebody who is exactly like you now, but somebody who was where you were before you got started. Once you identify that, you have to decide how you will attract them. And obviously Instagram is a really big topic right now. It's like a lot of training is focused on it. It's where a lot of coaches have shifted to the focal point of growing their business. But Artina talks a lot about Facebook and just how she grew things on Facebook. And really I feel like a lot of the tips she shares are applicable both to Instagram and Facebook. But she made the point, like, you've got to get in front of a lot of people. And so she tells her coaches, posting is your paycheck and social media is your storefront. So the more people that you can expose to your posts, like, the better. And so she would send like 20 to 30 friend requests per day. And I picked this tip up from her a little over a year ago. And it's something I've been doing on Facebook. Is she said she would seldom just add friends who were her suggested friends, because she felt like a lot of times those ended up just being coaches or people already connected to a coach. But she would go to a friend that she has and she would look at their friends list and add their friends. And so then if those people were to send a message and be like, I'm sorry, do I know you? She could say, no, I saw that we had these mutual friends and I love connecting with people on here. And just explain it that way. And I've been adding friends for over a year using that method. And I think I've only had one person one time reach out to me and be like, I don't know you. Why did you add me? And I explained, I said, well, I saw that we had a lot of mutual friends. How do you know so-and-so? And then the conversation just would go from there. So it's not like you're adding all these random people, which can be a little intimidating on Facebook. Not so much on Instagram, because Instagram, you can just follow somebody because you like their post or they used a hashtag that relates to you. You don't feel the need to kind of explain yourself as much, but on Facebook, I found that that's a good way to add friends, is just by adding friends of someone you're already friends with, someone that you know. And so she said she would add like 20 to 30 per day. And she said another idea was write down what describes you as a person and find people in groups who are linked to you. She said she would always like finish her post with, if you like my post, share it. If this resonates with you, share it, or tag 5 friends, below. She said every Thursday she would do a Thirsty Thursday post, and she would tag like 5 of her current challengers. And she would say, like, she would post a picture of her with her water bottle, and she would say, here's a challenge to you 5, take a sweaty selfie with your water, showing that you're making sure you're getting all your water, and tag 5 of your friends. So those challengers would then tag 5 of their friends below, and she would go friend request all of those friends. And so then she answers the question, and this is the last one on this PowerPoint, like, how do you keep them? How do you make sure they accept your friend request and continue to follow you? And this is nothing new. It's something we've heard for a while, but you have to provide value. This can't be the Jamie show. This can't be the Jeffrey show, the Laura show. It can't be, look at me and all the heroic things I'm doing and how I'm making it, I'm just gliding through motherhood with knowing how to exercise it. Like, that's not real. And we know that's not real. So we have to be very careful. While we are showing that we have a solution, we want to show transparency and honesty along the way, and struggles. And so people will relate to pain. We talk a lot about identify pain points, share your pain points, but then share how you're working through them. It doesn't have to be all neatly packaged and tied up in a bow, but just you want to be transparent and you want to add value. And one of the things I've been doing, I usually try to draft my social media posts on the weekends so that then I schedule them and I just like have to post it during the week. As I now have a note, and I can even pull it up for y'all. where is it? Social media drafting. I don't know if you can see this. This is kind of small, but one of the things I do right now is I view posts from the past because I have been coaching for a while. I'll look up posts that got a lot of engagement in the past, and sometimes I'll reuse some of them because I know if it's got good value, like chances are not everybody has seen it. And so I'm going to reschedule or rewrite those. But I ask these 2 questions. Am I being transparent, and am I adding value? And then stay true to what makes me me. And then these are just like 5 points that I wrote out. Not that I love to write or love to read, but I wrote out, like, I love the art and the power of words, how they induce growth and transformation if we give them time to do so. That is really kind of the heart or the meaning behind the fact that I'm a book lover, that I love my Bible, I love Harry Potter, I love writing, I love personal development, all those things. So I shared some of this with y'all a while back, but start by just making bullet points of 5 things. What makes you you? And then dig deeper. Like, why does that make you you? I'm a minister's wife. What does that mean? Well, I love God's church, and specifically like our local body, and getting to minister alongside my husband in a place that we are so grateful to be and feel called to be. Like, that is really what minister's wife means to me. And so if you're able to kind of really dive into that, into what makes you you, those 3 to 5 things should inform your post, because then you're accurately focusing on who you are and sharing that with other people. So, sorry, I got off on a tangent, but we need to provide value, and you want to do it in a transparent way. And so she said, she asks questions a lot. She'll ask for advice. And she said, y'all, it's things that I could easily Google and find the answer to. But by asking it on social media, I'm connecting to people, and I'm showing, here's something that I don't know the answer to. I don't know how familiar y'all are with my total lack of fashion. Like, I have 0 fashion. I do not know how to decorate my house. So today I decided to take everything off the walls in my living room. And that was one of the things I asked for advice on in my Instagram stories was, what would you do with this wall? Like, how should I decorate this? Now, can I easily look up Pinterest and get ideas? Sure. And I probably will at some point, but I love hearing ideas that other people have, especially when it comes to clothes and fashion, because people are they have way better ideas than I do. But yeah, ask questions that you can easily go and ask Google, and instead use it as a way to connect with people, because that's the goal. We're wanting to connect with people. So let's go to the next slide. Michael asked her at the end of the call, like, what are the top 3 things you would share with coaches? And I remember her sharing this first one on stage at Summit. We talked a lot about this at the beginning, but be you. So I won't dive into that anymore, because I think we've pretty much covered it. But the second one really hit me pretty hard today, and I shared about it in a group text earlier, but don't be emotionally connected to your invites. And this is hard. This is a hard one. But the sooner we grab a hold of this, the better. And she just shared, like, and this is the first time I've heard anyone say this. She said, this is a no business. Like, people are supposed to say no. If you're inviting enough people, you're going to get 9 out of 10 that tell you no. Like, that's ratios, that's facts, that's math. It has nothing to do with people, like, they're not saying no to you. They're saying no to a product, or they're saying, no, I don't have the finances, or no, I don't have the time, or the timing isn't right for me right now. Like, we just can't be emotionally connected to those invitations. And she also said, like, don't stalk your posts. Don't post something and then look at it every 5 minutes to see, has somebody liked it? Has somebody commented on it? Like, that will drive you insane. And so, like, what I do normally is I post in the evening, because that's when my posts get the most engagement, is like usually around 9 o'clock at night, because I'm reaching out to moms, and that's when babies are in bed and you're able to kind of have a second to look at your phone. But then I don't look at the notifications normally unless I have extra free time, or like during the summer a lot. Like I don't have a husband to connect with after bedtime, so I'll work a little bit more because I'm just kind of here by myself. But the majority of the time when he's here, like I don't work in the evenings. We have these calls on Thursdays, but I'll post and then I go to bed or I spend time with my family. And then one of the first things I do in my power hour, power pockets of time the next morning is I look at who liked my post, who commented on it, and I'll start conversations with them from there. And that gives it a little bit of time for people to engage and for you to respond. But you don't have to be stalking your own post and trying to find a false sense of security or satisfaction in that, because some posts do well and some just don't. And that's just part of it. But she said your job is to show up and know people are watching. And so a lot of times people won't like your post. They won't engage with your post, but that doesn't mean they're not watching you. I think Jeffrey was actually that way with me. I don't think Jeffrey ever liked or commented on my posts, but then later told me, I've been watching you, for a while. And so don't think that because you're not getting a lot of engagement that people aren't watching, because chances are someone is. And then the third point, and I love this, she said, give this thing time to work. Stop expecting a quick fix. I mean, we see that with so many people on social media who jump from one multi-level marketing company to the next. Like they host a party one month and then they're selling something else the next month. And they're trying all of these like get rich quick schemes. And that's not what this business is. This business requires hard work and dedication and commitment to people and not just to selling a product. And so you really have to have a long-term longevity mindset with it. She said, make a promise to yourself. I'm going to be here next year. Like if I'm consistent, this business will take off. And I've seen that. That's been my experience. I've seen that in so many other coaches. I listened to another call today from a newer coach that just got started in March, and just a little bit background of her story, because I think it's really, really important. She had, back in the fall, her mother attempted suicide, and this was shortly after her parents got divorced. And she's an adult. She's a professor at the University of Alabama. And so she had her fourth miscarriage in like January 10th or something, and had connected with a coach who had been very transparent about sharing about several miscarriages that she had, a top coach. And they had connected through that. And after she had her fourth miscarriage, she decided, she felt like the Lord was telling her, as she began to learn about 80-day obsession, she felt like the Lord was telling her, you need to take care of yourself. Like you need something to focus on. And so 5 days after her fourth miscarriage, she started 80-day obsession. 2 months into that is when she decided to coach. And she was a diamond a month later, just like really committed to, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be here and I'm going to give this thing time to work, as Artina said. And so she just shared, like she believes, and she's continued to have life happen to her. And she said, my goal is that I want to continue helping people and continue moving my business forward, even when life happens, even when the next miscarriage comes, even when things are hard with my mom who's dealing with depression, even when, all of these things, whatever it is that we all deal with eventually, as life happens, she said, I want to still be here helping people, showing up every day regardless. She said, and those are the coaches I want on my team, are the people who are not just going to say, well, it's a rough season right now and I can't do this. She said, this is a lifestyle and this is something we can do regardless. And so I felt like that kind of went along with Artina's third point here on give this thing time to work. Like if you're wanting something quick, this isn't it. But I think that's what makes it valuable and worth it, is that we're doing something that matters. So, this was a slide from last week. So I did not edit that one. But basically, if it was edited, what it would say is questions, comments, feedback, biggest takeaways on any of that. Is there something that you heard or that you've kind of been thinking about that you're like, this is one action step that I need to take from this call or the National Wake Up Call? I think it's easy when we go through trainings to think of all the things we want to do, but I think it's helpful just to think of, here's one thing I need to do and take away from this. I'll let y'all talk.
I really liked how she said at one point that because people are constantly viewing you and they may not be liking your posts, she was saying that she answers comments and questions in her post. Like, I've been saying, hey, I'll message you those details or something like that. And I still think there's value in that because we can really have a conversation with somebody. But I also think that there's value in, briefly answering the question so that if somebody's just scrolling through, they can see kind of what we're doing. And still, I think we could breadcrumb those answers in a way,
Mm-hmm.
But that was something I hadn't really thought about, because her point was people are watching you. And so if this is my storefront, I want them to be able to scroll through the comments and get value and answers to their questions. So I really liked that a lot. And then, everything she said about like, don't be emotionally connected. I struggle with that so often. Like, and you and I talked about this today, like, they're rejecting me. Why are they and it's not that. But just also for our team culture, I feel like this is helping me to know how to share Christ. What we're trying to do with people and encouraging people, like as I'm reaching out to others and trying to share Christ with others, like they may reject him too, and so I don't know, I just have appreciated for our culture and for our team that's something that I've been learning and working through. So yeah, I'm trying to think about I'll look at my notes from her talk, but those are some things that I like.
Yeah, I love that point of answering in the comments. I've never done that, and I've never thought about how it could be beneficial, but for sure there because there's always those people that will not reach out to you. Like, why not answer those questions so they can see the answer?
I was going to say that I think I'm a little bit different than a lot of the other coaches, is that I can't do the heavy lifting stuff yet, but I think that kind of resonated with be you and who you are and what your story is, and people will connect with that. And also that really just encouraged me to try to do a challenge group based on like the 2B mindset or the yoga or something like that. Let's do a 3-week yoga challenge and kind of make it a thing. Do you do that through your page or your personal Facebook?
The challenge group?
Yeah, like when you're inviting people for that.
Like in direct messages, you mean? Or
right, like if I'm in I guess I have a 2-part question. If I'm inviting people, I don't know, like she talked about the friends of friends, am I doing that through my Facebook page or my personal Facebook account?
I think either one. I think early on, for years when I first started, I operated from my personal account because that's where I knew people. That's where we were connected. Mm-hmm. I've since grown my page a little bit more, and so I'm able to use it a little bit more. But you want to be wherever your people are, and so if it's your personal Facebook page, or if that's on Instagram, like that's where you want to invite, like wherever people are seeing you and engaging with you. It totally works that way.
I don't remember what the second part of that question was. But I guess, the challenge groups is what has encouraged me to kind of step out, because I don't have a big following in my Facebook page. But getting out there in my personal page and just inviting people, like, we're going to start this day. We only have this many slots. Like, kind of try that out. Cross my fingers.
Yeah.
You can invite people. You may have already said this, Jamie, but like my challenge group is the same one that we're all running together as coaches. So that's what I'm inviting to. So I'm saying I personally have 5 spots left in our challenge group, but we have, because that's who I feel like I can handle. So it's like, that's what you're inviting to. You don't have to come up with your own, which is what we were doing in the past. So you don't have your own page or something unless you want to, because as coaches, we're all trying to do that together and help each other out. So I hope that encourages you too.
That's a good point. I was going to ask, because I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, because I'm not doing Lift 4 or 80-day obsession. If I offered to do that with a yoga challenge for the people in the group, would that be okay? Like, I don't want to be like, that's my customer. Like, what is she doing,
No. Like, it's designed because everybody is different. We want everyone to find the perfect fit for them. And that's what's great about the all access, is you can. And so there are people in there who are doing all sorts of things. And it definitely doesn't have to be all Lift 4. And that's why, like, in my invitation, I'll say, my next round is kicking off on this date. A lot of people are doing, like, they're starting Lift 4 on this day. Would you want to talk about if that's a good fit for you or not? Because it might not be a good fit for them. And if it's not, then I want to show them that I do have something that is a good fit for them. Like, if it needs to be yoga, or if it needs to be PIO, or I have a lot of moms that are just now getting off of their 6-week release, like just have a newborn. They don't need to jump right in with Lift 4 or 80-day obsession. They need to do clean week or do yoga, or whatever the best setup is for them. And so they are all a part of that group, and it functions that way, I think, better, because everyone's doing what they need to do, and can still, because we're all and that's part of why I named it what I did, because everyone is on, you're on your specific journey, you're cultivating your journey, and that looks differently than my journey, but we're all kind of headed in the same direction, which is developing disciplines and a healthy stewardship and understanding of what fitness is, what health and fitness is. And so, I would say you can totally do that, and you can totally go live and add value and share content, whatever you think your people need, talk about that, because there's probably someone else in the group that needs it too.
Okay.
And one of the things that I've done a lot recently is people, I'm not doing an 80-day obsession right now, but I've got 6 challengers that are. And Ashley Gaston is the professional 80-day obsession person. And so I've had her in some text message groups with people that are my challengers, but I've had her, talking to them and giving them some advice and input. And so I think it'd be really valuable if you wanted to lead something like yoga and you went live in our group and said, hey, I'm doing this. And because, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the reason why and the way that we're doing this Facebook group now is if Laura is going to do yoga, I may have some people, some challengers that want to jump in on that, and she can, encourage them and be specifically, not that you have to be talking to them every week or something like that, but when you post something about, what it's like going through this yoga thing, then I can tag my people in that and say, hey, Jessica, have you seen what Laura posted? Because it's really great value for where you are in your journey. I think that's the point of us doing it all together. So Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong in that, but that's how I've seen this and tried to be using the challenge group over the past few weeks. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And and we did it. When did we start this? In May or June? June? It's pretty new. like previously we all were running our own challenge groups, and finally I just realized that's not like, I mean, I guess it encourages ownership in some ways, but it was stressful for a lot of people, and it wasn't providing the ultimate value, because I'm not doing yoga right now. And so if I have someone that needs to do yoga, like, are they going to feel left out, you know? And I'm not the greatest coach that knows all the things and has all the strengths. Like, that's what's cool about us all coming together, is that our challengers are essentially being coached by all of us. And so that is valuable. Like, that is cool when we're all